Hey, welcome to the Heart of Selling podcast. This is episode number 2, and today we're going to be sharing with you how to build a business with your life partner, or any business partner really, without tearing each other's heads off. So, my name is Beau.
And my name is Demi, and we help up-and-coming leaders monetize their knowledge without selling their soul.
So if you don't know about us already, we are life and business partners. And over the past year, we've built a very successful online business and personal brand. And now we're sharing that with the world, like the lessons we've learned,
Yes.
how we've overcome different challenges along the way. And one of the major challenges is building a business with a partner and with maybe a romantic partner, your wife or
Your
husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. And it always is more difficult when there's two people involved because, you know, we can't control the other person and both people have to be aligned. So it can bring up some challenges. And so number one, what is the first point that we're going to talk about today?
So the first point that we're going to talk about is for you to not tear each other's head off, you have to decide whether or not you're both in the same level of maturity and commitment to the business.
First of all, if you should even go into business with your partner in the first place.
Before anything else.
Because, like, I know a lot of people have some horror stories from going into business with another person or their wife or husband. And a lot of people say it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't work out in a lot of cases.
I basically know 2 pairs already at the top of my head.
I hear it quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
So it probably works less than it doesn't work. Like, it's kind of rare for it to work, but and that's why I think you have to really be honest and like examine it beforehand. Like, should you really go into business with this person, and are you both committed to the same goals, and are you both mature enough? Like, can you trust each other really also? Like, is that person really trustworthy? Do you have the same goals? Are you both committed to this thing for the long term? Like, why do you think it worked out for us and it doesn't for others?
To me, personally, I think that it worked out for us because our priorities are the same. So even if you're the numbers guy, you're the tech guy, or the marketing person, our main priority and goal is really to help other people. It's like give more value before we even get anything in return. And that was what I liked about you, really, because you were very much concerned about the revenue, sure, but you were not the type of person who's going to hold me back when I'm over delivering on things. Like, you allowed me to go up and beyond in helping other people because that's what you also wanted to do, or you also would do if you were the face of the brand. So that was kind of like how we dialed in to the goals of the business. It wasn't just about making money, but for me and Beau, it's more of like helping other people and getting them the best opportunity there is, or making them realize that there's a better opportunity for them. So that was our main thing.
Because like what we're teaching is stuff that has changed our lives.
Yes.
Like everything we teach, we don't teach stuff we don't know. Like we don't teach stuff that we haven't experienced. You know, we didn't start teaching Filipinos how to do freelancing until we had already had success in freelancing, you know, and we're not teaching, like now we're teaching online business and personal branding, but we're only doing that now because we had success and like we learned a lot and we know we can help people. So that's an important one. Like your business partner should be committed to the same purpose or mission. Like it can't just be about money. Like if one partner's in it for the mission and for helping people, but the other partner is in it just for the money,
revenue,
then that's going to lead to some major problems. Like I've heard horror stories of businesses where the business partner just like up and leaves. Like they just take all the money out of the bank account and they're just gone to like Hawaii or some shit. Like, see ya. And that happens more often than you would think, actually. Like, I've heard that a lot, actually. Like, it happens quite often. So that's a big one. Like, do you trust the person? And are you both committed to something beyond just money? Because money, if you're just committed to money, that makes people greedy. Money tends to make people do crazy things sometimes. So it has to be about more than the money, I would say.
And it's also about the maturity of the person. I don't think I would ever partner with Beau if he was the type of person who was like, oh, we gotta go for the revenue, or oh, we gotta like, I gotta do this,
or if
and
I'm
you shouldn't be doing this,
or if I'm out partying and shit. And
yeah, like I wouldn't trust Beau if he was that type of person, but fortunately, he's very straightforward. Like, this is what we're going to do, set expectations right up front. Like, that's how mature this business has been. It's like when we're going to talk about business, we set a very specific boundary on that. Like, hey, let's talk about this. And then, like, it would just naturally come together. It's not about something that we force ourselves into when we're talking about.
So being
ideas.
very upfront
Yeah.
about, I think that's our second. Is that our second point we're talking about?
No.
Being very upfront about, you know, what you guys want,
Yeah.
what both people want, what your values are, making sure you're both aligned, have similar goals, a similar level of maturity, you have the same expectations, like you know what's going to happen, maybe
Yeah.
like anticipate certain events in advance. Like, let's say in the future, you think that maybe in the future you guys won't be business partners anymore.
Yeah.
And that's fine to plan for that. Like, plan for that in advance. Like, what happens if we decide one day we want to part and not be on this business anymore? What's going to happen then? Like, a lot of people just go into business and they don't even think about that.
Yes.
Like, if you split, would you have like a contract or an agreement, a legal agreement of some kind that if you split, then you each take 50% of the revenue or whatever, however you want that to work. So making sure to set clear expectations and boundaries.
Like, we are literally getting married and we're still thinking about that. Like, we are going into that route where we decided to spend the forever with together, I mean. And then we still think about, like, what if it's gonna happen? Because you'll never know, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we're actively pursuing divorce. It's not like that, but
yeah, but you just have to be realistic.
yeah,
like,
realistic with your expectations.
know
Because
that-
business is still business. Like, you cannot let your emotions get into that.
Right. That's an important one. Don't make business decisions from emotion.
Yes.
Especially not a partnership. Like,
Yeah.
you might love the person, like, but that doesn't mean you're meant to be in business together.
Yes.
Like, you could love someone to death, but at the same time, you could acknowledge that they're not a good business partner. Like, there's some people that I know in my life that I love to death, but I would never hire them or go into business with them, you know? Like you really have to take a logical, rational approach.
You told me that
to
one time when we were hiring our second customer service person. You were saying that do not hire anyone whom you just like. Why did you say that?
Because if you just like the person, that's just it's an emotional thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people in the world that are very likable, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that they're a good employee or that they're a good business partner. Yeah, do your research, make sure you know, like, you're at least 95% certain that this is a good partnership. And
do not just, I think the most important part is really do not get your emotions into the business part of things, because the romantic partnership is all emotions. And then here comes a business partnership where it's all logic. So you have to take that into account. Whatever is your personal problems as a romantic partner or as a friend or whatever that may be, what kind of partnership you are in, you have to really leave that emotional side of things to, you know, just being romantic partners or just being friends. Like, don't put that in the middle of you guys making ideas for the business.
Yeah, separate the business relationship from the personal relationship. Like, those should sort of be two separate things.
Yes.
Although they're never going to be totally separate, but to the best of your ability, you should make them separate. And I think a really good thing to do is just get legal agreements and contracts if you're not sure. Like, if you're not sure, like 100% sure.
Even if you're sure.
But especially if you're not sure, then always get a legal binding agreement of some kind. So if anything happens, you're both protected. You know? And that can kind of help build the trust too. If there's a legal agreement, you both know that, like, you're not going to screw each other over.
Yeah, but you know, some women, if you do that kind of thing with them, they're going to freak out. They'd be like,
oh, yeah.
oh my God, like, are you sure we're going to
you don't trust me.
You don't trust me.
It's like you don't trust me enough.
Yeah.
You think I'm going to run off with your money.
Yeah,
It's like,
trauma, tantrum, rather.
See, that's a maturity thing.
Yes.
Like, if someone reacted like that, that's a sign already that they're not a good partner.
Yeah.
because they're already bringing their emotions into it.
Yes,
right from the
exactly.
beginning. So that's a warning sign. If someone's overly emotional
Yeah.
about the business, that's a bad sign.
Like you made some sort of business decision and you did not inform your partner about it. That's also a maturity sign that like you both are business partners. Why did you try to hide this from that person? You have to be completely transparent. That's maturity thing still right there.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to disappoint the other person.
Yes.
If you think that it shouldn't happen, like you should break up, maybe not in the relationship, but in the business partnership, maybe you think you should break that up.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, like don't be afraid to do that, because the longer you let it go, like the more destruction is going to happen. So cut it off early. If you do notice any warning signs, like end it early. It's better to go on business alone and go on the journey alone than it is to go into it with the wrong person, because that will do far more destruction in the long term.
You could still be like boyfriend and girlfriend or partner or friend, even if you're not in the same business together. You just have to become more mature when it comes to separating, like, you know, cutting the ties basically in terms of business. Because again, business is business and emotions are rather emotions.
Don't take things. I guess. Like I have friends that I really like would want to, like my heart might tell me to go into business with the person, but my mind is like, that would be a really bad idea.
Yeah.
You know? Or maybe it's the other way around. My mind would want to go into business with them, but my heart is telling me no. Like,
yes.
I don't know how you want to think of that, but trust your intuition. I think your intuition can tell you what's right and what's wrong.
Second one we have in the list is knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses.
And setting,
so how did that work for
setting
us?
clear boundaries between what you're doing in the business.
Yeah.
So in our specific case, like if you don't know our story, like Demi has a personal brand. She's like the face of the brand. She does like the videos and content marketing, and like she's out there like interacting with her students and people who follow her. And I'm the one behind the scenes doing like the technical stuff, copywriting, marketing, all the stuff that has to do with numbers and data and stuff. Like that's my strength. Like we talked about in the first episode, we talked about the personality types and how if you're a T, you might want to go with an F. So in the Myers-Briggs personality test, there's thinker types and there's feeler types. And if you're an F, you might want to partner with a T. If you're a feeler, you might want to partner with a thinker. If you're an introvert, you might want to partner with an extrovert.
Yeah.
And the best partners are people that complement your weaknesses.
Yes.
And where you complement each other, right? So, for example, like one of my weaknesses is like putting myself out there and like being consistent with content creation and being on video. And I'm working on getting better at that, but that's just definitely not my strength. And we recognize that from the beginning. And so we decided that, okay, well, we're just going to have Demi be the face of the brand. That's easier because she's more comfortable with that. She's good at it. She connects with her audience. Like her audience loves her. And so that just makes more sense because she's better at that. But she's not very good at like the numbers and the data. And she like doesn't even like that. You don't even like numbers, right?
Beau always discusses to me how like, hey, do you know that we're already at this number revenue kind of. And when we always have launches, he would always say, do you know how many sales we already had? Like, you always get ecstatic. And he would tell me, like, hey, do you know that this is, like, the number of sales that we had? And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't care. Right. I'm like geeking out over here about the numbers. And then, like, I just love the data and, like, seeing how the numbers work and everything.
Yeah.
But that's not her strength.
He would dance, like literally just seeing all the revenue go up and like the numbers change and all these things. He even is the person who created like a spreadsheet of all our revenue from ever since we had an automated funnel and all that kind of things. And I'm like, why in the world are you geeking out on that?
But
right
you're happy I created that.
Yeah,
right?
it's also a good thing that he created it because then I could see what it's like. But like to me, I can never fathom numbers for some reason. He would always say like, hey, we reached this amount of revenue. And I'm like, okay, like how much is that exactly? Can you give me a visual representation of how that amount of money looks like? Because I have no idea.
Because you don't really think in numbers.
Yeah, I don't.
Like you think in pictures, I guess.
Think in pictures and always make decisions based on emotion.
I think in numbers.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting back to what we were saying, like So she's good at being the people person, sort of, and I'm the good at the data and the numbers.
The
So
tech
like,
side of things.
so that makes a good partnership, and we realize that we shouldn't both be doing the same things in the business, because like, why waste time and energy, me trying to do something I'm not even great at, or her trying to do something that she's not great at?
Yes.
Why don't we just each focus on our strengths? And it just so happens that it works really well because we both have strengths that complement each other. Like, you're the personal brand person, I'm the data and numbers person. So when you combine those together, you have a really successful business.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important, is making sure you're in partnership with someone who complements your weaknesses and you complement each other, and then setting clear boundaries on what you're each doing. Like, I think a lot of conflict in business partnerships comes up when people try to work on the same thing. Like, one partner is like, each partner is working on the same task, and then there's like, they're butting heads because like one person wants it done this way and the other person wants it done this way. You know, but we do it different. We like separate it. Like, the tasks,
delegate the tasks.
The tasks I do in the business are basically completely separate from the things you do in the business. So like, an example, like, she makes the videos and I do the copywriting. Or she makes the videos and I write the emails, or I write the sales page, but she designs the sales page. Stuff like that. So they're separate tasks.
I'm also touching a little bit on the writing part, and he's also doing a little bit of the design part. But when we do that, it like 90% doesn't work a lot of times.
Then I criticize her writing, and then she criticizes my design.
I was always like, can you just not make this? Like, let me do this. And then he would always say the same thing with my copywriting.
Setting boundaries between tasks. And it works really well for us. I mean, for the most part, we don't like butt heads that much.
We barely even do that, dude. No. Haven't you noticed how we rarely even fight? Like,
because like, I don't know. It just like, what I do is separate from what you do, but somehow they combine together. It's like a puzzle piece. Like the puzzle piece that I'm doing fits perfectly into the puzzle piece that she's doing, and it just works. So that might be hard to find. I don't know. Like, it works for us, but in real life, it might be hard to find.
You can't just go around and put like a placard of your MBTI result on your forehead and be like, "Yo, I'm a feeler type. I need a
I was like,
Myers-Briggs."
Myers-Briggs.
You can just put a placard in here. Yo, I'm an INFJ looking for a thinker type. Yo, what up, what up? You don't do that, right?
You shouldn't rush into any kind of partnership. Or like, it should kind of be natural, I think. Like, I see a lot of people posting online, like, looking for a business partner to go into this opportunity. I'm like, you're just looking for a random stranger on the internet? Like, that's risky. Like, it should be someone you know and you trust, not just someone you meet on the internet. And you shouldn't just go into business with a partner just because you're afraid to do it alone. Like, both of us are willing to do it on our own. Like, we are both willing to, if we have to, we will build a business by ourselves. And we're both okay with that.
And also, in terms of tasks, like, even though you're the one who's doing the copywriting and the marketing and the ads, if you're going to, like, for example, go away and pass it on to me for a temporary time, I am very much willing to do it. I can do it, but it's just that you're better at that than I am.
But why do it if you don't have to do it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can do it, but why would you do it if you don't even like it or you don't want to do it?
That's true.
Better just to partner with someone who's already good at that and who already likes that. And then you'd focus on what you're good at and what you like. And if those pieces fit together, it can be a pretty magical combination.
Unicorn combination.
So what's number 3?
So number 3 is, I would say, the big one, which is getting your ego out of the way. Getting your ego out of the way.
So we talked about it a little bit, like keeping your emotions out of it.
Yes.
And not like seeing your partner as competition. Like I think that's an issue in a lot of, especially if it's like romantic partners. Like a guy might feel insecure if the woman is like in the more leadership position. You know,
which is what is happening.
Like, you're in the leadership position. Like, I'm behind the scenes. Like, a lot of people didn't even know I existed until now.
Hi.
Hey, what's up? I've been there the whole time. Not the whole time. But, I've been doing a lot of the planning, and Demi does a lot of the execution. So she's like the leader in the leadership role, and I'm behind the scenes. And a lot of guys might have like insecurity about that. Like, oh, I'm not getting credit for everything I'm doing in the business. Like, I'm not getting recognized. Like, Demi's getting all the credit. Like, everyone loves Demi, but no one knows that Beau has a part of this too. And like,
there was even one point that I was earning more than you are. And how did you feel about that?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, but Demi was supporting me financially for a while because I was struggling in my business when I was trying to do it all on my own. Things didn't really start working out until we partnered. And then it was like, boom, like that was the key.
Yeah.
But yeah, she supported me for a few years. And at times it was difficult to deal with that. But at the same time, I'm like I know we're going to make it eventually. Yeah. And like, I know that I was contributing. It wasn't like I wasn't doing anything. At least I was giving you like good ideas and stuff to execute on.
Also, on my side of things, some women, if they do that, if they support their man, they would like freak out. It's like a stereotype that the man has to provide for the whatever kind of relationship that you have. It's always the man that has to provide monetarily. And to me, I didn't see it that way. It was more of like, I love this person and I know that he's smart. He's going to figure out his way very soon. But as of this moment, I'm the one that's more capable of doing it. So why can't I do it? Like it's like giving things out there or giving Beau the ability to make his stuff happen by himself without me expecting for anything in return. If it came to a point where at some part of that relationship I was providing him monetarily and he broke up with me, I wouldn't be butthurt. Like it was just me giving him the best that or the things that he deserves so that he can work on his very own dreams.
I think it's also like it's not like I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was also not.
Like if you're doing all the work in the family and then your partner is just doing nothing and then they're just playing video games all day or going out to party every day or whatever, like that's a different situation. But yeah, you got to get your ego out of it because that can create resentment. Yes. And a lot of insecurity and fights and stuff. Like I could have been very insecure about you supporting me financially, but for the most part, I didn't see it that way. Like I knew I was capable, and I knew that I would.
We both knew that it was just temporary.
Yeah, it was just like a process that I had to go through, like we all do. We're all going through some sort of learning journey, and in the beginning, it might not look very like from the outside looking in. You might say that person's not very successful, but inside, we knew that it was going to lead to success down the road.
Yeah.
It just didn't look like success at the time.
That's tough. Because people at that point in their lives, they'd be like, yo, this is not turning.
Something's not working.
Yeah. Something's not working. I have to jump into another business idea.
Yeah. Like, I know, like, my family has sometimes looked down on my entrepreneurial journey because I wasn't having success. Like, I was, poor a lot of the time and I didn't have any money. And so they're looking at that. People are looking at that and saying, hey, it's not working. Like, why don't you just go get a job?
Away your life.
Why don't you go get a real job? It's like, but I never saw it as failure. I always saw it as like
part of the process.
It's part of the process, and eventually I'm gonna make it.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be worth it. All the years of struggle, it's gonna eventually be worth it.
I think that it's important also because it's really, we all have egos and we all have pride within us. But if you truly love the person, I think it just encompasses everything. Like,
give the other person credit. I would say, like you have to want your partner to succeed. Like,
yes,
it can't be like you want to look better than them. Like, you have to want them to succeed, and if they're more successful than you should be happy for them. Like, if you went out and made millions of dollars and I was just making minimum wage or whatever, I would still be happy for you. Like, I wouldn't feel jealous. Like, if you're jealous over that, then I mean, I would question that relationship.
The love that you have for that person. Like, why would you?
But your ego can often overtake. You might love the person, but your ego is very strong and could. So deal with your insecurities and don't look at business as a competition between people.
It goes back to the very first one, which is understanding whether you are both mature or not to even get into business together.
Yeah, because the stronger your ego, usually there's a correlation. Like, the stronger your ego is, the less mature you are. Like the process of maturing as a human is about learning to let your ego get out of the way more and more and more. Like the less ego you have in you, the more mature you become, the more wise you become, the more compassionate you become, you know.
And how do you quiet down the ego?
I think it's just a matter of awareness, like being aware. Maybe some people listening to this might not know what the ego is or what it means. If not, I recommend you read the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It talks a lot about the ego and how the ego controls our life and how it's really just an illusion, and it doesn't have to run our life if we become aware of it and learn to recognize those times where the mind starts racing and it starts thinking all these negative thoughts, or you start feeling all these negative emotions like jealousy or resentment or anger or whatever. Those are just the ego. It's like the animal part of us. And it's not really who we are. It's just a habitual reaction. So
Carl Jung also calls that the persona. So the mask that you're putting out there when you're with other people, that's your persona, your ego, same thing. Like who you
think you are
to be.
Or pretend to be, So some people are identified with that.
Yes.
And so they can't let it go because they think it's who they are. Like, I'm this resentful person and I just resent everyone and everything. And some people take pride in that. You know, people take pride in their negativity. I mean, it's weird. The ego is a weird thing. So I would say learn more about the ego and have some, I guess that brings like spirituality into business. Like it's important to have a spiritual basis to yourself and your business. So that business doesn't become all about money and success. It also becomes about personal growth, becoming a better person, especially when you're in partnership with someone.
That is tight because there's like two people in the thing, two different egos like clashing.
And there's a different dynamic because it's the business, the relationship with the business, but it's also the relationship with each other at the same time. So it's like a triangle. So, you know, have you ever heard like the drama triangle, like they call it?
What's that?
I don't know what the drama triangle. It's like people start drama between threes. It's like a triangle, like on soap operas and stuff, TV shows. It's often a triangle, like three people. It's like, and there's jealousy between them or resentment or something. It's usually
kind of familiar. That was part of the English literature that we have in college, and I was just sleeping.
So I hope that was helpful for you guys, and let us know what you want us to talk about in future episodes because we'll be making plenty of these.
We're getting a hang of it a little. Yeah. You think?
It's only our second episode, but we're getting better.
We're getting better. The first one was a little awkward, but now it's like, it's a little better.
We'll get better.
Do it more often.
The more we practice, the better we'll get. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for listening, and see you soon.
Bye.